Most of these guys are young men for whom mortal combat with a band of brothers in the service of some great cause that gives them adventure and glory and meaning in life. It provides maximum esteem in the eyes of the world, that they think, especially in the hearts of their fears. And jihad today is a heroic cause that holds the promise that anyone from anywhere can make a mark against the most powerful country in the history of the world. But because these would-be jihadis best thrive and act in mostly small, self-organizing groups within networks of families and friends, not in large movements or armies, their threat can only match their ambitions if fueled way beyond actual strength by publicity. So, whereas nations, for example, tend to avoid publicizing their wanton killings, whether it's ethnic cleansing or collateral deaths from drones, publicity is the oxygen that fires modern terrorism. So the more we publicize it, the more we give it oxygen, and the more likely we are to help terrorists terrorize.
Okay, and I guess people in the media would say, well, there's the public demand. Our viewers, we have the numbers to show that our viewers will watch this, our readers will read it. So is it really the media that's to blame, or who?
Well, it's not the media that's to blame, but of course the media looks and says, wait, okay, so take pornography or fast foods, right? So the way the pornography industry works is they tweak our evolutionary yearnings for, say, the appeal of sex and sexual characteristics, but it has no apparent value, fitness value. I mean, it's just, on a glossy page or pixels, but yet they manage to tweak and fire us up all the same, even though it has no adaptive value. Same with fast foods. Sugars and fats are all important for the functioning of the body. They're very hard to really get in nature, and protein as well. Mm-hmm. And now in our society of abundance, the fast food industry and the soft drink industry is just able to fire these things until we can virtually explode. And you need a considerable amount of education actually to avoid falling in the pitfall. Well, the same thing is true with the way the media works. I mean, it works by sensationalizing, and of course, violence is a privileged stimulant for sensation. Violence and, of course, sex, the same as the pornography industry. And they'll use it any way they can to sell whatever they can. But here's the thing. It's true that in the 18th and 19th centuries, for example, the press was as scandalous and sensational as it is today. But there was a period during most of the 20th century where the press showed self-restraint. Mm-hmm. And acted like a responsible social actor. It acted as a public service. To give you an example, Edward R. Murrow was in the White House when the Pearl Harbor attack occurred, and rather than scoop the story, he decided that it would be more prudent to wait until the president and his staff had decided upon some initial strategy. And throughout the 1950s and 60s, this was pretty much the case, and into the 70s. I mean, if you look at the average news story, for example, during the 50s and 60s, it averaged about 2 minutes 30 to 2 minutes 40 seconds a byte, if you want. Now the byte's 18 to 15 seconds. Not only that, if you're a politician or you go on TV, you're actually trained to do 8 to 15 second sound bites and to repeat it 3 times within a minute. So the amount of information is greatly reduced. That is, the ability to deal with complexity is greatly reduced, and it relies on very simple, sensational emotions that are constantly repeated to sell their products. The other part is, of course, that the news service was fairly regulated and self-regulated as a social service, and with the advent of cable and video and internet and deregulation, has just become a force in the market, and we're faced with basically what's a problem of comments. The real The real problem, I think, is the broader problem of collective action. And it's our common good to deny terrorist media exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But each media outlet in a competitive and unregulated market is tempted to break the compact by trumpeting the news.
Right.
So that's the bond we're in.
Yeah. And I think some...